Hello, everyone. It's a Sunday morning here. It's wild out here. The wind is just the leaves. The wind is going. The leaves are. And Gus just brought me a part of a chicken. What's he doing now? I just left him out there. I said, "Go on." I don't think he killed that one. He found it's this time. We lost Ozzy, it looks like. The one that really did keep everything at bay here at night. And the chickens are excommunicated out of the barn. Anyway, it is what it is, right? Yeah. We had a great Thanksgiving. Took almost a week off from Bible reading. Here's the wind again. And almost like it felt like a vacation. Great things happened during that time. There's one thing I want to share. One thing first. When my children come here and they get here, the first thing, they embrace mama, and it's like our hugs are just like this. You just dive right into this. This is my child, my children. I can feel it. This is my mom. And the hugs are so pure and giving. No, I'm not a big hugger, kisser, or anything like that with people. It's mainly because of propriety as well. I always feel that I want to feel the purity of things, not, yes, well, why can't you do that with other people? Because there is a line that is still being restored among people when it comes to certain things. But with my children, that hug, and then when they leave, the same thing. There's a purity and propriety about it that is never wrong, right? Yes? Yeah. So, I may have mentioned this before. After I got married, I didn't dance with any other man besides my husband, because that's how it felt, again, pure and right. I guess I have my own ways on how, right, when I get to a certain stage in my life, on how do I keep, right, that purity still, right, in a way, yes. Yeah. You can love people from afar with a very sincere heart, right? Yeah. So, what I wanted to mention, though, before I do the reading as well, is an experience that I had where God really opened up his heart to me. I was driving to work, and while I was driving, I must have been thinking about something, can't remember that, and suddenly, I know I wasn't thinking about that, suddenly, while I was driving, the universe just opened up, and I saw this area in the universe where there was this you could tell there was some kind of an entity there because of its prominence there, and the light around it, and there were these little tiny dots like stars, one could say, that were moving away, many of them, from that particular area of illumination. And a, and there were, like, really slowly, just a few were moving very slow, like it's slow motion, considering the other ones that are left, towards that area of illumination. I went, oh, wow, what is that? And I said, I sat in the car still trying to drive, and I'm having this vision. And I said, oh my gosh, Father, what are you trying to tell me? And I got this one sentence back. So many leave, so few come back. And it was like this, and my heart just constricted, and at the same time, it just so opened up towards this pain in a way that I got the experience of children leaving and on how long it takes them to come back to you. What I mentioned before, the embrace of children and that embrace you get back. And almost as if God is trying to show me how much giving there was, and on how little of that really in a way comes back, due to the fact that people live their lives the way they do, with very little consideration towards their heavenly parent. I was so struck with that vision. Then it closed up again, and I made it. I don't know quite how I made it to where I work at, and I sat in the parking lot, and it was like I said, I have to write this down, and I don't really have the time though to do that, and I need some time to regain my composure. It was such a profound experience that I had. And I looked at the clock and I realized I got there an hour early. How did that happen? I'm never early to work. It's not going to happen. I got too much to do here to get in the car an hour early. And I realized that I was going, what just happened? And I'm here an hour early? Well, how did that happen? And I had the time to compose myself and to write the whole thing down in a way and try to make sense of it. What did I just experience? How do we become true believers? Yes. Where no matter what, you will never doubt the guidance of our parent in heaven, our Father in heaven. You just won't. It's not going to happen. And then you got to teach. Then you start to teach. Just because God wants us to, we're not going to move faster back towards afterlife on earth, towards that embrace. It's so slow, even in spirit world. That's why restoration in the physical is so important. Not just for ourselves, but for our ancestors and our descendants. To even when you have to wait, even here on earth, you wait and you set the right conditions and foundations for unity to happen within a family, restoration to happen within a family. I also found that, like I said, I don't just hug anyone because, again, hugs shouldn't be given so lightly. Hugs should be the ultimate embrace for someone in a way. Yes? Well, anyway. Or who in the physical, when you are married, or start to think of a life together with someone for the rest of your life. What does that mean? That others get some of the same benefits as your spouse? It shouldn't be that way, shouldn't it? Yes, that's why after I got married, I'd never danced with anyone else except for my husband. All right. We are on 39 in Genesis, Joseph's early days in Egypt. Now Joseph had been taken down into Egypt. Potiphar to the Egyptian one. Oh, wait a minute. We already read that. We're not on 39. We're on 40. Excuse me. It's been a week. I didn't mark it, did I? Joseph interprets the dreams of Pharaoh's officials. Oh, okay. It's 40, Genesis. That's where we're at. 40. It happened sometime later that the king of Egypt's cupbearer and his baker offended their master, the king of Egypt. Pharaoh was angry with his two officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, and put them in custody in the house of the commander of the guard in the Gao, where Joseph was a prisoner. The commander of the guard assigned Joseph to them to attend to their wants, and they remained in custody for some time. Now both of them had dreams on the same night, each with its own meaning for the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were prisoners in the Gao. When Joseph came to them in the morning, he saw that they looked gloomy. Looks like Joseph was allowed to walk around freely in the prison. And asked the two officials who were in custody with him in his master's house, "Why these sad looks today?" They replied. "We have each had a dream, but there's no one to interpret it." "Are not interpretations God's business?" Joseph asked them. "Tell me about them." So the chief cupbearer described his dream to Joseph, telling him, "In my dream there was a vine in front of me. On the vine were 3 branches. No sooner had it budded than it blossomed, and its clusters became ripe grapes. I had Pharaoh's cup in my hand. I picked the grapes and squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and put the cup into Pharaoh's hand. This is what it means," Joseph told him. "The 3 branches are 3 days. In another 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head by restoring you to your position. Then you will hand Pharaoh his cup, as you did before when you were his cupbearer. But be sure to remember me when things go well with you, and keep faith with me by kindly reminding Pharaoh about me, to get me out of this house. I was kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews in the first place, and even here I have done nothing to warrant being put in the dungeon." Oh, interesting. The chief baker, seeing that the interpretation had been favorable, said to Joseph, "I too had a dream. There were 3 wicker trays on my head. In the top tray there were all kinds of pastries for Pharaoh, such as a baker might make, and the birds were eating them off the tray on my head." Joseph replied as follows, "This is what it means. The 3 trays are 3 days. In another 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head by hanging you on a gallows, and the birds will eat the flesh of your bones." And so it happened. The 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a banquet for all his officials. Of his officials, he lifted up the head of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. The chief cupbearer by restoring him to his cupbearing, so that he again handed Pharaoh his cup, and by hanging the chief baker, as Joseph had explained to them. But the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph. He had forgotten him. Oh, interesting. Now, the story I just related to you before, I did not go in here and see what the next chapter would be about. Interesting. To not forget when we truly experience the grace of God in some ways. Huh? The grace of God, what is that to most people? Well, things go well. Huh? Suddenly you have this little miracle happen in your life. This and that, right, that you prayed for, I don't know what, this and that. But do we, if we have experiences with God that are painful to God, huh? Yes, or where He opens His heart to us, do we remember them? Do we share them? Or do we just forget? Obviously, God is trying really hard to get Joseph out of jail. And Joseph has a gift, interpreting dreams, right? Yes? Not everything can be explained in a perfect way. That's one reason why we should never give up our search or our belief or our willingness to keep growing with our Father in heaven. I don't know. I'm kind of. It's one of those things. I started this up again, and it's a. I'd like to be. I want to be one of those little dots of light that eventually returns at the speed of light to my Father in heaven, my parent in heaven, the Creator. Yes? In the meantime, I'm going to try and do my best to keep teaching people about the laws of heaven, I guess, the right way. Does that mean you're just a pushover, this, that? No. You have to put your life on the line. In a way, people will be unhappy with you, but kind of goes with the territory again, right? Yeah. I think that in everybody's life, when they really truly are searching for that happiness and purpose of life, right, they will find things that they can be strong about without being violent or anything, like just, okay, well, sometimes you have to just wait, see what happens next. And I guess Joseph is waiting, right? Yes? Yeah. Would the baker have forgotten? I don't know. Why did the baker have to give his life? What was his offense? Why did the cupbearer? Oh, because the cupbearer, in a way, has his presence in the Pharaoh's life is much greater than the baker, right? Yes, the contact is greater through the job that he has. Right? Well, doesn't that go for every priest, reverend, and pastor out there as well? They're so much closer, right, to people's hearts when it comes to teaching the Bible, the divine principle, anything that's out there that promotes love for God and to keep the Ten Commandments, the Lord's Prayer, and all that. Yes? I hope that the priests, the reverends, the pastors, the rabbis, the imams won't disappoint God and give the proper messages to the people so they can be lifted out. Maybe have their prisons where they are in, not by thought, then by action, right? Yes? I'm just saying. Anywho, so here we are. Started this again on a beautiful Sunday. Sermon on the Mount. Ugh. Gosh, it's windy. The leaves are just... Oh, it's really quiet here right now. Oh, the sun's coming through a little bit. I see. Power of nature. Ah! Love it. God's love and blessings always, and may He protect you. And I will talk to you all another time.